Morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Right, and now I'm sitting here, Mark, opposite you in my lounge room, actually.
In a very sunny lounge room.
Which is our alternate studio. And you've presented me with a wonderful little gift today, and it's in a wicker basket, and it's got Japanese writing all over it.
It's a sake barrel,
more
Bill.
More importantly, it's got a tap on it because it's a bottle of sake.
Yeah, and it's in a representation of a sake barrel, which is how they were traditionally stored.
That's right. Now, as you know, I did some work in Japan a long time ago, but you've only just come back 2 days ago from Japan.
Yeah, yesterday morning, actually, at 7:30.
To what, 1 degree or 2 degrees?
It was 3 degrees at the airport, and we left Tokyo at 30. So,
right, so what's the most impressive thing you observed about being in Japan? Because you did go off the road.
We did go off road. We hired a car and disappeared up north of the main island. I was just impressed with the roads, how impressive the roads were. Well signed, digital signage everywhere, plenty of warnings about things ahead. The other interesting part was because we were heading up towards snow country, constant reminders of the temperature, but it was 23, 24 degrees, but that constant reminder. If you ask my wife what's the thing that she remembers best, it's the heated toilet seats. and the other aspect that we ate lots of food from the 7-Eleven chain across Japan, who have magnificent supply chain and make the most wonderful egg sandwiches. So we spent quite a few egg sandwich eating on the side of the road.
And they sell a lot of sake in the 7-Elevens.
They do a magnificent job.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely country. Great place. If you've never been, go.
All right,
but it's good.
I've got one suggestion. We send this government up there to look at the roads. That's all I'm about to say.
The roads up there were super. And even in areas which have just come out of winter and obviously get covered in snow and ice and all the rest, they were in good condition. So, that's a really tough environment. So, anyway, we're back.
All right.
So, today's guest, Bill.
Well, today is a business that I guess not a lot of people think of, but they've probably used on many occasions. And today we're talking to golf teaching professional, Aaron Rayson. And Aaron runs a studio in Mercer Street in Geelong and has a history of working at club level and has now moved into this. So I'm fascinated to hear his story, because I would venture to say that most people who listen to this podcast have played golf, and probably most have had a lesson at some stage.
Or attempted to play golf is probably the point, which is why they need people like Aaron. So welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Aaron, let's kick our journey as we always do. Where was primary school?
Went to primary school at a place called Bellpost Hill Primary in Vines Road in Hamlin Heights.
Very good.
Oh, that wasn't very far away.
No, it was very close, yeah. So
actually, there's a few people been there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think.
A couple of our past guests.
Well,
it is Geelong,
That's true. That's true. And primary school led to high school.
High school, yeah, off to Western Heights after primary school. So that was another 5 years of my life at Western Heights. So that was different. I think I spent most of my high school life trying to avoid the place, like most kids back in my era did. And you wouldn't believe where I tried to go during most days, to the golf course, yeah.
So I was going to say, where in that primary school, high school part did you start golf?
I was definitely not primary school. I was more like a footballer. So football, AFL footy was more in my family with my father and grandfather playing footy at Geelong and South Melbourne during their younger days. So AFL footy was always my passion, footy, cricket, etc. But then suddenly golf sort of took over. I went out for a hit with my older brother when I was probably in year 7 or year 8, so 13, 14, and then that's where it all kicked off.
And it hooked, got you in.
Got sucked in.
Which golf club? What was the first golf club that you joined as a member?
Queen's Park, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I was down there the other day watching my son play football.
Play footy, yeah. Funny that. Yeah, it's amazing how people get down there and watch kids play footy or cricket. Yeah.
That's right.
So while you were at high school, any casual jobs?
Well, actually, pretty boring, really. I actually started at Geelong Golf Club as a club cleaner in the old Geelong Golf Club days in Ballarat Road. cleaning clubs and looking after members' stored clubs at the golf club and pretty much sweeping floors and doing all the things that kids should be doing.
Golf was in the blood.
Golf was in the blood, yeah.
Well,
so
Aaron, my father played in the pennant team at Geelong Golf Club
in
the old days.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I remember that course very well. Now it's mostly houses, isn't it?
Yeah, small course and housing.
That's right, yeah.
And while you were at high school, did you have ambitions of what you wanted to do, or ideas or thoughts? Or
No, looking back now, I had absolutely no idea what you wanted to do. So I think as a normal kid that had some sort of footy nous, AFL footy nous or cricket nous, you wanted to be an AFL footballer, you wanted to play for Geelong, of course, or you wanted to play cricket for Australia. But that all sort of ended up changing at some stage. The golf bug just took over, and then suddenly playing football on a Saturday morning, getting hurt, and then trying to go and play golf is not going to work during the afternoon. So you had to make a bit of a choice at some stage, and just happened golf was probably the best option.
So when you finished at Western Heights, what was the next thing you did?
Yeah, so I then I started working at Geelong Golf Club with a bit more vigour, so I was doing a little bit more work there, and then pretty much started my apprenticeship as a trainee golf professional pretty early. I started when I was about 19, so I had a couple of short years where I was able to play a lot more golf because I had the time to do it and get a bit of pocket money working in the pro shop and stuff at that stage.
Do they still do apprenticeships?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
What's involved in a golf apprenticeship?
Yeah, so you've got effectively got about 5. This is taking me back now. Actually, I'll have to be good to answer this. So effectively, there's generally a business management subject, rules and etiquette. Then you've got like biomechanics and all that stuff, body. So depending on what you want to do after your apprenticeship. So long story short, it's a 3-year apprenticeship. And you've got to prove that you can play the game to a standard. Then after that 3-year apprenticeship is finished and you passed all of your exams and assignments and all the things that go with it, you then have the choice of what you want to do next, whether you want to teach or play golf or whatever you think you're good at.
I should imagine it would have been a lot of golf club cleaning as part of that role.
Yeah, lots of... An apprentice back in my day was sort of looked at as the kid that you paid not much for and he went and did all the jobs that you didn't really want to do. So that was me, sweeping floors.
It's the same sort of apprenticeships in lots of industries,
So
unfortunately.
what was the key learning, do you reckon, in life out of your apprenticeship?
What was the key learning? There's a good question. The key learning as an apprentice was you're now in the probably the small fish in a big ocean now.
Yeah.
So suppose going off subject a little bit, in Geelong, you can easily become the big fish in a small pond pretty quick as far as the sporting landscape goes.
Yeah.
But suddenly I'm thrust into driving to Melbourne or going into state every now and again. And so now nobody knows you and no one thinks you're any good. And now you're playing with all the better golfers. So that's probably, I suppose this is life, isn't it? Going from a kid to a adult, you got to learn the adult things in life. So that's probably the best takeaway from me.
So can you, with young kids playing golf, and just like football, we watch kids play underage football and all that. Can you pick by sight a potential good golfer?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And depending on the age, so if you get to if you're like a 13 or 14-year-old kid, that's your test because now people are starting to tell you that you're good so you generally are told pretty early whether you're good and it's up to you as the child to work out whether you take that on board and get a big head or you're a little bit more withdrawn, but you 100% you can sort of tell. Generally, a kid's attitude will give it away the best, where they want to learn. Like learning is probably the biggest asset a young kid with talent can have, but then to execute is obviously.
I've seen a lot of juniors in golf because I mentioned to you before we came on air, been a member of 3 or 4 golf clubs in my life. You see many great young golfers. Magnificent swing and hit the ball like crazy, but haven't got the head together.
100%, yeah, 100%.
So it's a mental game.
Yeah, it becomes a mental game, and golf, competitive golf, hasn't got room for many players. Yeah. So if you're on the cusp, if you're not quite good enough, it'll spit you out pretty quick. So you get all of the good players with just a little bit more talent than the next guy. It shows over a period of time.
Good. So... Sorry, Mark.
No. I was going to say to Aaron, you finished your apprenticeship. Were you then on the circuit? Were you playing professionally to win money and win competitions and so on?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that the good thing was that when you started, is you'd play every Monday. You'd play in a tournament as an apprentice, so apprentice tournaments, where then you would display your playing ability, and you would actually play for money. So that was actually pretty cool. So if you had a good score, the first thing you wanted to know is how much money you won. So going from playing with your mates for a beer or two to suddenly winning a check was actually quite cool. And the normal tradition when you first become a professional, I suppose, is that when you win your first check, because they physically used to give you a check.
Yep.
So when you win your first check, you normally frame that. And I can remember the first check that I won was about 4 weeks' pay, so there's no way that I was framing. It went straight to the bank.
And so just expanding that then, so what then qualifies you as a professional?
Yeah,
So you get your check and...
Yeah, get my check. So as an apprentice, you're in the apprentice box until you finish your 3-year apprenticeship. And then after that, if you now become fully qualified. So now it's up to you to navigate through either staying where you are as an assistant professional, or then taking on a different role where you go to another club or just be a teaching professional, or you want to go and play the circuit. So did I play the circuit? I played semi-full-time for about 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
So, which is a great lifestyle. I probably enjoyed the lifestyle probably a little bit too much. I didn't mind missing the cut too much when I went away, whereas the better players, they hate missing cuts, so I practice harder, but I was happy to go and have a bit of a relax for the
All
weekend.
around Australia?
Yeah, all around Australia, which was a good experience, fantastic experience.
What's the best course you've played on?
Oh, the best course I played on. I reckon we've got them all in Victoria. I reckon all of our better courses in Australia are definitely in Victoria.
I've got one in New South Wales.
Which one?
You know the Bonneville Golf Club?
Oh, Bonneville, yeah. I played in New South Wales, I think PGA there, or New South Wales Open, one of the two.
That is
unbelievable.
the atmosphere. When you walk around that course, it's just magnificent.
Yeah,
it's
got
a
a
little bit
vibe.
based on Augusta.
Yeah,
in
it
the
is,
middle of
yes.
the woods.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's anyway. So so you're playing. Whilst you're playing that, where were you working when you weren't?
I was so effectively when I finished my apprenticeship at Geelong, I then went to Curl Lewis as a teaching professional. So doing a little bit of shop work and a little bit of teaching, but at the same time, I had the asset. I was lucky to have good employers where they let me go and play for a while. So I might be away for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then come back. So depending on how well you went, then you come back to work, make some more money, go again. So it becomes sort of like a top up to keep on going. So I hung out at Curl Lewis for a bit, which was really good fun. And that allowed me to sort of gave me the freedom to sort of do
That's good.
a little bit of this and a bit of that, which is good.
And you spent many years as the golf professional at Queen's Park Golf Club here in Geelong.
So what led you to Queen's Park?
Yeah.
So an old Geelong golfing icon, Peter Toyne, advertised for a teaching professional at Queen's Park. And I thought, geez, well, that's close at home. That might save me some petrol money. So I got in contact with Pete, and he thought that I was a good fit for the job, and then away we went. So... and then it got to the point where Pete was done and I was sort of ready to move on with some stuff, so I took over.
Good, and so and that is a small business, isn't it? In reality. So what skills do you need to run a pro shop and a golf course like that?
Yeah, wow. So that's when it all changed. So I've gone from grizzling about working too hard and all of the things that we do when we're young to now having to pay wages, be responsible for all things business things. So now I've suddenly gone from a pretty laid-back teaching professional to almost a full-blown business person, I suppose.
Yeah.
So now I've totally changed and flipped what I'm actually responsible for, which was not scary because I actually love that, but it was different, definitely different.
How many staff?
I had up to 5 at one stage.
Okay.
Now, the model of running a pro shop, am I right in suggesting in a lot of cases it's based on a retainer by either the club or the council or whatever, and then the rest of it, your income comes from lessons and sales of merchandise and clubs and all the rest of it? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I was in a bit of a different predicament where I was associated with the council, so I was effectively managing the golf course for the council, so I actually had to pay rent. So, which is quite ironic because a few of my mates that are pros at other private golf courses were then paid a retainer, so they're actually paid to be there, and I was paying rent. So I was like, probably about 50 or 60 grand before I started compared to my mates.
That's
Well,
interesting.
join the real world of,
it's funny,
of small
it's
business.
funny, I know,
Yeah,
so
that's
there it is, yeah. And I was always grizzling that I was the poor one paying rent, but Queen's Park is quite a busy place, so you got lots. We're pretty lucky and spoiled that we actually have our customers walk in.
Yeah.
We don't have to advertise; they actually just turn up
And-
play golf. You got them.
It's a good location, though.
It's fantastic.
It's
yeah,
a great
fantastic
location,
place. Yeah.
except when it floods.
Except when it floods. I was just because when we first moved to Geelong, we lived on Buckley Falls Road, so overlooking.
Yep.
And there were lots of times where it was just this sheen of water.
Yeah, it's pretty when it's underwater, but it's not profitable. I can tell
No.
you.
Well, we talk about in business at the moment. Everyone's talking about AI, and all you hear it day in, day out. But how's just from a golfing point of view for those listening to this that play golf, and some people change golf clubs every year, or they change them when they have a bad round.
Yeah.
Right? How's technology improved golf?
Technology with, you mean AI as in the...
Well, no, just the technology of golf clubs,
Technology,
and now they use range finders and all sorts of things.
Yeah, so it's quite funny. So from another business standpoint, companies that construct all these things are always trying to find that next thing that you guys want to buy their clubs for. So the reason you want to buy their clubs is because of, let's say, distance. So distance is the big one, distance and forgiveness when it comes to equipment. So companies are bending over backwards to try and find something that makes that happen, so you buy their stuff. So those guys, as far as the technology goes, it's insane how much better equipment itself has got in the last 10 years, 15 years. And they're very, very good at marketing it too. So the companies do a fantastic job to help us golfers get better or worse.
Well, it's funny. Market's funny about that because generally it's the guy at the under end of the stick that influences what happens, doesn't it?
But you think I'm a bit of a hacker of the golfer of my youth, but the golf balls were always fascinating. This constant evolution of golf balls, and then people would swear by one golf ball and wouldn't vary off it because it went further or straighter or whatever.
Nothing's changed. It's still the same.
That's right. All right. So, how long were you at Queen's Park?
Almost 15 years.
15 years.
Almost 15 years.
So now you've had a tipping point and tipped into a totally different style of golf teaching professional. Tell us about your business.
Yeah, so now I've got a pure indoor 3-bay simulator in Mercer Street, as you guys alluded to at the start. So now I've got 0 staff, one including myself. So now I pretty much just do some coaching, some fitting. I do some golf club repairs, but majority of the facility is used for members only use. So it's a 24/7 facility where golfers can come in at midnight or 2 a.m. in the morning.
So you operate a membership model.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. So it's 95% members only.
Yeah.
The rest are just blow-ins that come in for some coaching or fitting or whatever from the outside. But
No,
majority
the rest are people who are not very good at golf and want to be expert golfers.
Correct, yes, yeah.
Sorry,
Within about
we
10
need
minutes.
to rephrase that.
yeah, in about 10 minutes, you're right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So tell us about the simulator.
Yeah, how does it all work?
Yeah, so the simulator is really good. So there's we use a device called TrackMan, which is a worldwide radar system that picks up the ball when it's hit and how it's hit and what it's done when it's been hit and all those things that go with it. So TrackMan is probably it is the best system in the world. A lot of US tour players and a lot of tour players around the world are using it. So it's great for data. So in my facility, just quickly, I've got some really, really good golfers that depend on the numbers and the information that it gives us. So it just helps them make better decisions when they play golf. But it's also great for the person that's just starting golf. I actually just gave a lesson to a guy that's literally just started golf 3 weeks ago. So he's not going to get involved in all the things that the best golfer in the world does. But he's just going to come in and just start using it just to get some repetition and then play on a course. So it does course play as well, which is quite cool. So he's going to use it in a totally different facet than that guy that is a really, really good golfer. So the way that they both use it is going to be completely different.
So someone coming in, I walk in and say, righto, teach me how to play golf. What do you do? What's the steps?
Yeah, I've got to be quickly on my feet because so you want to the first thing that's really obvious with a new golfer is not all of them, but a large majority think that it's all going to happen pretty quick.
No.
So you've got to be. I've got to be quick enough and good enough to try and get that into the head pretty quick. This is a long war. Like, it's not going to happen in 2 weeks.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. Yeah. So the trick is to, from a coaching standpoint, you've got to get them for a long time. You've got to have them for a long time because people need help with golf. Like, it's a big old beast, golf. I'm always learning. So the person that's just decided to take it off, he's coming from zero and I'm still learning. So there's always something to learn. So you've got to, I like to sort of take people on a wing a little bit and sort of educate them as to what they need to do and where they need to go and how they need to get there.
So what do you start with? Do you the stance, the clubs, or
as dumb as it sounds, the thing that I try and do first up is just try and build some sort of relationship so they can trust me. So you've got to be able to, if you don't get along with the person that's coaching you or you know what I mean? So you've got to be able to strike up a sort of a mini friendship so that you can actually move together. Because if you don't, it's not worth. Like, I've had teaching in the past where I thought, oh, this is probably not going to work. So I'm not fully invested. So I get that from the other side now.
Yep.
Well, that's the psychology of
Yeah.
this. And Mark, to get our business lesson out of this, is you might recall I've got a photograph of a professional golfer walking down a fairway next to his caddy. And my comment is that a professional golfer can't play good golf without a caddy. You can't run a good business without a mentor. And that's my analogy.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You build that trust. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that goes from student to coach and even coach to someone like what you guys do.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
And do you get someone to take a hit at the ball and look at and then say, right, this is how you need to stand.
Yeah.
This is where your feet go.
Yep.
And just work them through?
Yeah, work them through, and then you've got to try not to confuse them because we've all got at our fingertips, we've got YouTube, we've got our mates helping us, we've got all sorts of things that are either probably not going to help is probably the truth, but it's how we take it is probably the best. So YouTube is keeping golf pros busy all around the world. It's quite ironic how it works.
Isn't it amazing how golf pros on YouTube or Facebook, whatever it is, can all fix your slice? Right?
Yeah.
That's
correct.
the standard
Yeah,
issue.
Exactly.
And look, it's interesting. You know, if I think back to my uni days or school days, one of our mates who's passed away some years ago now, but he had a magnificent drive and it was straight down the fairway, 250 metres, and we'd look at him do it and think, this is easy. And then we'd slice it. And so we walked twice as far as him in every game of golf. But he was the most patient guy because he would always come back and say, right, this is the problem was you're young and you think you know better. But he was good. But he'd never had lessons. He just had this ingrained ability.
Yeah. So, Aaron, as a business, you in recent times you read a lot about struggling golf clubs and golf courses, and thinking about the sands in the back of my mind. But a few of them, and Mark and I have both done some consulting to golf clubs in different parts of Victoria. And so where do you see the future of golf going from a golf club point of view? Because why should I go and pay, my brother pays $3,000 a year membership somewhere, whereas you can join up to a golf group, you know, one of the, I forget what they're called now, Golf Pass, or something like that.
Future golf.
And you go around and for $50 or $60, you can play courses all over the place.
Correct.
How do you see all this evolving?
So everyone's getting just that little bit cleverer behind the scenes with that sort of stuff these days. So the golf industry has COVID to thank.
Yeah.
Before COVID come along, there's a lot of people struggling to work out where golf was going to go. So especially from a junior level. So like a lot of sports, we need that junior development to come up and fill. So it become, I suppose, reality says it become, ironically, like an old man sport pretty much. But now everything's changed. Like COVID has changed. The influx of golfers through COVID is fascinating how that 20 to 40-year-old market now is like booming, like it's out of control. So now these little future golf things come along and do a great job with giving us an option to go and do these things for a small price. So future golf's going really good. I think it's got a good little business going on where it can sort of help golfers get out and play more. But we have COVID to thank, no doubt about it.
And some of the schools, a couple of schools that my kids were involved in, actually set up golf lessons as a school program. In fact, my I'll brag a bit. My daughter won Victorian Schoolgirls at Royal Melbourne once.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Because the school, she played for the school.
Nice.
Right, and then never touched the golf club again.
Conquered it.
Yeah.
Actually, it'd be interesting to know how many sets of golf clubs are sitting in garages across the world that have been used maybe half a dozen times, and they just sit there. I've got a set at home, and I keep thinking, I should sell them, but you hang on to them.
I was talking to my rowing group the other morning about that sort of thing, and we're talking about SodaStream machines.
Yep.
Right, in every cupboard, in every house, there is probably a SodaStream machine sitting there, used twice.
So Aaron, with all your teaching and mentoring that you've done, has anyone absolutely stood out and gone on to bigger and better things that you've seen come through your guidance?
No, not really. I haven't. I haven't been lucky with one of those kids, actually. It's been some guys that have, though. All those kids have started somewhere, so you'll always have a coach that'll hang their hat on one person, which is fantastic. So an acquaintance of mine from Warrnambool, his name's Craig Bonney. He was the pro at Warrnambool Golf Club for, I'll probably be guessing now, but about 30 years. And a guy called Mark Leishman come up through the ranks before under him.
The live golf.
Yeah, so Craig's quite an ironic sort of guy. He's got a sense of humour that exhausts most, and I reckon he still says that the only reason Leishman's on the live tour and making gazillions is because of him. But I haven't had a lucky one like that yet. I've got my hopes up to my superannuation.
But there's a hell of a lot of good pennant players out there, aren't there?
Oh, there's some good players around.
There's some really good players.
Really good players around.
So Aaron, how do people find you?
Pretty easy on the website. I've got a website, geelonggolfstudio.com.au.
Yep.
And always a moving target. We're on Instagram and Facebook. And as we spoke off air just before we started, that LinkedIn is probably going to get a little bit of a facelift.
Well, part of your marketing program, we were critical of that. And we are now, once we stop talking, we're going to give you a lesson. All right?
Love it.
So Aaron, thank you. That's fascinating journey, and wish you all the best.
Pleasure.
And anybody listening who thinks I should get back into golf,
do it.
Give Aaron a yell.
That's
and
right.
Go and get assessed and have some lessons. And remember, it's a marathon and not a sprint.
That's right. Thank you, Aaron. That was
you,
really
guys.
interesting.
Thank you.